CJ Stroud returns and speaks, and why the Texans can't lose to the Titans just cannot happen. Let's go inside the locker room.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey. Locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really
Can't
do.
happen.
We the source.
It can happen, but it can't happen. It is the locker room, number one source for Texans daily digital content. I'm Landry Locker. You can hear me Monday through Friday, 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 610, which is where you heard another exclusive interview today with Kareem Jackson. We'll go back over that tomorrow on the show, on the Odyssey app, on the YouTube, and on the Twitch. Also where you heard from Andre Johnson, who is a finalist for the Hall of Fame exclusively as well. So CJ Stroud has returned. Let's take a look at this injury report for the Texans. It is official. CJ Stroud's going to play. Let's look at this injury report real quick. Will Anderson did not practice. It looks like Will Anderson's going to be out, which he was last time the Texans played the Titans. Malik Collins, he was in last time, and he was a big part of the Texans holding Derrick Henry to the worst game of perhaps his NFL career. Looks like he might not play. Jonathan Grenard might not play. Sheldon Rankins might not play. That's it. That is a lot of meat on that defensive line against the Derrick Henry that might be very upset. I would assume Steven Nelson's going to try to play, although I don't want to take for granted how hurt he's played and how much he's battled this year. And then with Grenard, you never know. Cashman, you never know either. And we'll see what happens with Shaq Mason and Denzel Perryman. But not a great injury report, especially on the defensive line, especially when you factor in how well that unit played the other day with when the Texans, I should say, a couple weeks ago when the Texans took on the Tennessee Titans. Why a loss to the Titans cannot happen. Here is my thing on this. I get that expectations were low, and there is like a mindset, and there seems to be like a notion, not a unanimous notion, but a notion that because the Texans were expected to win this many games before the season, that it wouldn't be a disappointment if you lose to the Tennessee Titans and you end up winning 8 or 9 games. Bull crap. The NFL season, we always hear week to week, it's year to year. The Texans have put themselves in position to where they're facing a Titans team that has literally nothing to play for except maybe pride of ruining your season. You have your quarterback back. You battled in Tennessee without your quarterback and without a lot of pivotal pieces, and you put yourself in this position. If they lose to Indianapolis, cool. You lost to the Colts, season over, hand clap. But to lose to the Tennessee Titans at home on Houston Pride Day, which, by the way, it's not a coincidence. It wasn't a coincidence that the Titans wore the Oilers uniforms against the Texans. It's not a coincidence that the Texans are having Houston Pride Day against the Tennessee Titans. So just from a vibe perspective, that can't happen. From a competitive standpoint, you've worked this hard to get to this point. You can't have a team that has literally nothing to play for end your season. It just can't happen. Now, if you want to look at it optimistically, cool. And say, well, we didn't expect them to do this, then fine. Have at it. That's not how I'm looking at it. The season has played out such to where it's realistic to expect the Texans to beat the Tennessee Titans in this type of situation. So that cannot happen. It can't happen from any way you look at it. From a vibes perspective, from an embarrassment perspective, I think this is probably going to be the fullest house that they've had all year. Can't have that happen. They've been trying to fill that house all season. From an opportunity perspective, and from a perspective that the Indianapolis Colts are in a similar situation as the Houston Texans. The Indianapolis Colts weren't expected to win a lot of games this year. They have a first-year coach. They've had a lot of injuries. The Indianapolis Colts, you want to stay toe-to-toe with them. You don't want Indianapolis to build momentum ahead of you. You want to at least have the opportunity to have a winner get in game with the Indianapolis Colts. So you can't lose this game. It would make this season extremely disappointing for me. I'm not going to put myself back in February and say, well, they would have done this. No, I'm not doing that. The season's played out this way, and they've gotten and the Texans, they've had a lot of injuries. So have a lot of people. Joe Burrow's not going to miss the season every year. That's not going to happen. A lot of these injuries that we've seen with teams that would be competing, that's not going to happen. You got your star quarterback on the big stage. You've got 2 weeks remaining. Your team has already kind of had to scratch and claw. You've already beaten this team. So yes, you cannot lose to the Tennessee Titans. That would be a disaster. And in my opinion, that would make this season a disappointment. I don't give a damn what was expected before. CJ Stroud, he met with the media. Let's hear a little bit of what CJ Stroud had to say. And I'm going to ask you, what do you expect from CJ? CJ's been through a lot. CJ's been through a lot physically. CJ's been through a lot mentally. They've done a inconsistent job of protecting CJ Stroud. What do you expect from CJ? What are your expectations? What are realistic expectations from CJ? We'll hear from him, and then we'll talk about that on the back end. Here's a quarterback of the Texans.
Good to see you too.
What's it like to be back, and how tough was this a couple weeks ago?
It's great being back. I missed it. I feel like everything that happened, I wouldn't say it happened for a reason, but it was kind of something that I guess God wanted me to go through. It was tough. It wasn't easy, but my teammates held it down as best as they could, and I appreciate them for that. And now I'm back, and I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to just do my job again.
Have you officially been cleared?
Yes, I have.
Two things. One, do you plan to start on Sunday?
Yes.
And you were out for a couple weeks, which seems like it's a pretty serious injury. I wonder, was it scary? Was there any time where you were like worried?
No, I wouldn't say it was scary. It was just the right precautions and the right steps that I had to take to see progress. It wasn't overnight. And the thing about concussions that I've learned is that it's not like one-off fits all. It's like whatever that situation is. And for me, it was a little different than others, or it was just unique to what I went through on the field. So the training staff did a great job of just making sure that I was okay and wasn't forcing it and trying to come back too fast. And I appreciate them for just being honest throughout the whole process and everything. But yeah, it was tough, but we're through it now, and I'm excited to play.
How do you feel?
I feel great. Yeah, I feel really good. I feel back to myself, which was the biggest thing. So.
Where'd you watch the games? Did you watch them live on TV, or did you have to go back?
No, I kind of right when the Tennessee game was played, that was my first time watching football since like my injury. Just because like the camera angles and all that stuff is weird with like was weird with my vision. But the Tennessee was like around where I started feeling better, so I watched the game at home, and then I watched the Cleveland game at home too. But I got to watch both games.
All right, there you go. That's CJ Stroud. What do you expect from CJ? I expect a hell of a lot more than I did from Case Keenum. I think that's a given. But do I expect CJ Stroud to play as well as he did early in the season? I don't know that that's fair. Am I dismissing it? No, I'm not. I'm not dismissing anything. CJ Stroud has made he's made a fortune, and he's made a living off of proving people wrong when they've doubted him. I will say though, not going to have Tank Dell. The last time we saw him was against the Jets. Now it was a terrible atmosphere. Not a good situation. I was right there in the middle of that. But I would say I would expect CJ Stroud to be a solid NFL quarterback. But the expectation, while not dismissed, the expectation for CJ Stroud to just save all butts and overcome, poor blocking, bad defense, etc. I think the Texans are going to have to put together within at the moment a better cast around him. So I don't expect a ton. I do wonder what he's going to play like. Is he going to be hesitant to hold on to the ball longer? What is Bobby Slowick? How's he going to call the game? Is Bobby Slowick going to get conservative? Is he going to change the way he does things? Are they going to try to stubbornly run the rock? What does the protection look like? There's a lot of questions. And hopefully, if there are some growing pains, they can get those out of the way against an inferior Tennessee team, which, by the way, I already said they can't lose to. That would be an absolute disaster. They can, but they can't, if you follow me. But yeah, hopefully you can kind of tune up against Tennessee, get the job done, and then be ready to go with CJ Stroud. Richard has something to say. It's wild to me how now we're asking, what do you expect? And we haven't had Tank forever now, and he's still done very good. I guess when you get hurt and go out 2 games, you're not capable of being you. I guess I don't know what anyone said to make you think that. I would say that I'm trying to be fair, laying out the expectations of him. He just sat out 2 weeks. He's been getting roughed up. He doesn't have Tank. But this is this is example of like sensitive ass fans that take stuff and like magnify it. Nothing I said there had anything to do with that, but that's just the goofy stuff that you get in here sometimes. Appreciate you for coming through though. Who do you think will be the starting D line? Your guess is as good as mine. We'll probably see some new faces on there. But I would want to see the injury report tomorrow. Now, if you're telling me all the guys on there are gone, then it's going to be a weird thing to look at. Other news with the Texans, Andre Johnson is a Hall of Fame finalist. Actually had Andre on the show a couple weeks ago. And this was a little back and forth on his Hall of Fame candidacy. I do find it funny how John McClain kind of, whenever it's an Oiler, he's just going to bat for him. But with Andre, he kind of, didn't really go to war for him as much. Here is John McClain. Here is Andre Johnson, a little back and forth on Hall of Fame. And you're going to hear a real candid candid back and forth from Andre. This is as candid as you've ever heard him.
Hall of Fame. We have John McClain on every Tuesday. He's the one that's going to make the case. How you feeling about this whole process? Is it something that stresses you out? How do you feel about the whole Hall of Fame process that you're going through?
Man, it's funny you asked me this. So me and Owen Daniels we work out at the same gym, and he asked me the same question yesterday. To be honest, I really don't worry about it. Because it's out of my control. So I was a finalist my first 2 years. I mean, just being a finalist my first 2 years says a lot. I think at some point I'll get in. It's just a matter of the time of when it happens. So it's nothing I stress about. It's funny because when I talk to the Hall of Fame, when they call you, give you the call to let you know if you made it or not. Mm-hmm. They be like, you're the most calmest guy to everybody.
Yeah. No kidding.
Yeah, because I'm just like, hey, man, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. And, we'll see what happens next year. So
I think you're gonna get in, but it bothers me because I don't think Torrey Holt, I don't think you should have to wait for Torrey Holt and Reggie Wayne. I'm just saying, I know you're not going to say that. I don't like the thought that, well, he's got to wait for these guys before he gets in. That seems like a weird process for me.
I tell people, so when people ask me, I always tell them, I was like, if you look at the finalists or the semifinalists, or just look at the receivers, everybody has played with a Hall of Fame quarterback, a Hall of Fame receiver, and a Hall of Fame running back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I haven't played with any of that.
Yeah, and there's no way Reggie Wayne thinks he's better than you. Like, yeah, I'll go back to Miami. He doesn't think he's better than you. Come on, let's be serious. He knows the deal.
Now, Reggie's always said that he think I would get in before he would.
There you go. And we got on McClain the other day because we told him on the air to do the Andre Johnson pitch, and I was like, man, if that's what you're bringing, good God, man, like what is that? If he wore, I guarantee you, if you wore an Oilers uniform, McClain would be willing to die for you with this pitch. He's got to step his game up too.
So he's been doing a good job. He's been in touch with me, through the whole process. So, hopefully we can get in this year. We'll see what happens.
That's Andre Johnson, right there. And I just don't know how anyone can say that Reggie Wayne or Torrey Holt are better than Andre Johnson. One of his former teammates, he joined the show. You'll hear this tomorrow on 610. Here's Kareem Jackson talking about the vibes from when he left the Texans to the vibes now.
Night and day difference, totally different. The energy's different. Obviously, the leadership's different. With D'Amico, being, the number one guy and leading everybody. I know what type of leader he is. I've been able to watch him all this year. His energy on the sideline, his energy that he's coaching with, his energy, that stuff is infectious. So to be able to be here and to be a part of it and coming back here, and playing with D'Amico. So like I said, I know what type of leader he is, but just coming back here, everything is totally different. Like I said, the energy's different. Got a lot of young talent here, starting with CJ under center, so I'm just excited about everything.
You can hear the Kareem Jackson interview tomorrow on In the Loop. I'm intrigued to see how Kareem fits into this thing. It is good for the vibes that he's back. I think he's a good in-season signing with to replace Jimmy Ward. Would be interesting to see what happens with Jalen Petrie. Matt Burke insisted that he will start this week. So after being benched, we will see Jalen Petrie out there. But here is more from CJ Stroud. Let's hear a little bit more from CJ here in the locker room.
How was that having
I would say it was like it is what it is type of thing. Like it wasn't something that I was like, I wasn't mad at the world or like mad at anybody or mad at a guy. Like I was just like, man, it's something that I got to go through and I got to just fight through it. Another piece of adversity that I'm faced with. How am I going to react? So I didn't try to get too up, too down, and I really was just trying to be supportive of my teammates. So I was texting them throughout the week, and I was keeping up with the game plans and stuff. So it was tough to watch because of course I wanted to play, but at the end of the day, like it was nothing I could do. So I wasn't gonna like try to control something that I couldn't control and just get mad. So I just try to stay calm.
Have you ever been through anything like this before?
Sorry?
Have you ever been through anything like this in your career before?
Yeah, injuries are part of the game. I feel like concussions are a little different. I've had concussions before, but this one was probably the worst one I've had just because I hit the back of my head and I hit the ground really hard. So that was like what made it so bad. It was just like I damn near hit my head on cement kind of. It was cold and the turf, I guess, isn't the best I've learned. But, I mean, it is what it is, and I'm just happy to be back.
CJ, you got in a lot before your concussion. Is having this time off help your body?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like any time off. I mean, this is the most I've actually, like, not done, like, anything physical all year. I mean, from August of 2022, preparing for my season with Ohio State, like, I haven't stopped since then, so I haven't had a week or two break since that time before fall camp in college. So, yeah, it was good for me to kind of catch up and let my shoulder rest a little bit and other little nicks and pains that I had. So it definitely helped.
I hope you are feeling better.
Thank you.
About how the team held it down for you. So what's it like for you knowing that you have an opportunity to come back? You guys have a real shot at continuing to do some of those goals that you guys always had as far as players.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's cool just to see like your teammates go out there and get a kind of third perspective because my perspective has always been from the sideline or in the game. So I actually got to like see some things that we can work on, like from a visual standpoint on like a TV level.
Man, this is crazy. So he says he's studying the the body language. Listen to this from CJ.
Not like trying to look cool or nothing, but just trying to like control our emotions better, things like that. And I feel like just that perspective of the game definitely helped. And I feel like, man, we're right where we're at. You know, like we gotta appreciate the work that we've put in, but at the same time, just get one at a time and keep building for hopefully making the playoffs, and that's definitely the goal. And just go from there. So, I mean, we got to start with Tennessee, which is a really hard challenge. As you can see, last time we played them, they played us really tough. And Mike Vrabel does a great job mixing up the defense and stuff like that. So, it's definitely, I feel like we're where we're at for a reason, and we got to just keep going.
Was there anyone that you leaned on for help or support while you were going through this tough time?
Yeah, my mom was really big in my recovery, just checking on me, make sure I was all right, and then just like really my support staff of like outside this building, of like my friend Caleb, my agent, my marketing guy, some close family members that helped me, like my brother and my sister, and I was able to honestly like kind of let go of like a lot of responsibilities with their help, and that helped me tremendously with just focusing on my recovery and my health, which is most important. And I really felt love while I was out, by people just reaching out and making sure that I was all right. I appreciate that a lot. So I know that it looked scary and like the whole situation was weird, but I appreciate people like actually caring, and the people who are support me every day. I appreciate them a lot.
CJ, it's like close to their locker room. What was it like the first time you got back in the huddle with your guys and just you actually be there and do everything they're doing?
It was cool. I mean, it was right back like today and yesterday where it felt like I didn't miss at all. It felt like I kind of my groove kind of got back. I think Stroud has done a great job of getting me back in my rhythm and getting my timing and stuff down for this week's prep. And I feel like he's done a good job of putting live game situations. And I think hopefully going to come back and do as well or as better as I've been doing. And that's the plan, and I hope that comes true. So I'm excited for these next couple games and this opportunity. All right, God bless.
There you go. That's CJ. All right, CJ. You hear that? There? All right, CJ. Appreciate you, brother. Long time no see. I'm intrigued to see how this goes down. There's a lot of elements. Luckily, it's the Titans. Luckily, they got the Titans this week instead of the Colts, because if it were Indianapolis, I would be a little bit concerned. I'm still concerned about the Titans. I say they can't lose. I'm saying that from a perspective of avoiding disaster. I think it would be disastrous to lose to the Titans. But I think this is the perfect team to play. Don't even know if the Titans are trying to win at this point. So I think it is the ideal opponent for the Texans to face. Other things I think we need to keep an eye on. The safety situation, obviously, with Kareem Jackson, you got Amos, you got Jalen Petrie. How are they going to handle that? Is Jalen Petrie was benched last game. Word on the streets is that he wasn't happy about it. I don't blame him for being unhappy about it. It's not, nobody wants to get benched. As far as it being a deserved thing, I would say yes. And I actually think it's kind of encouraging to see the coaching staff willing to do that type of thing. The other things to keep an eye on, the D-line. That injury report tomorrow is going to be massive. That will come down at about 12:30. We'll be on the air on the Odyssey app and on Sports Radio 610. So come through, check that out. We've seen Malik Collins kind of try to gut it out. That's a tough spot to be in. With that, Tennessee wise, we really don't know who the quarterback is going to be yet. I would rather face Levis than Tannehill. That's just me personally. He's banged up. He's young. He's reckless. I would rather face him. It's kind of like a final hoorah for Ryan Tannehill, which, I mean, maybe he doesn't scare you either. You should be able to win no matter what. I think the line's up to 5. It's consistently gone up for the Texans. It's not, if we're just following the money, the Texans have pretty consistently gained even more and more momentum. It's down to 4.5 now from 5. So maybe people bet it there. In the life of Kobe, it would be a letdown, but not disastrous. These boys went above and beyond this year, but that's not saying to wave the white flag. I disagree. I mean, do I think it would be like, would it make me feel any different about the future? No, but I mean, let's just like this notion that there's some sort of house money and this would be like some sort of improbable thing for the Texans to make the playoffs. I just don't think that's an accurate assessment. We look at let's just go through the NFL recently. 2022, last year the Giants went from 4-12 to 9-7-1 to make the playoffs. The year before, Philly went from 4-12 to 9-8 to make the playoffs. Cincinnati went from 4-12 to 10-7. Year before that, 2020, Washington, they went from 3-13 to 7-9. San Francisco in 2019, 4-12 to 13-3. Texans in 2018, obviously there were injuries, 4-12 to 11-5. Colts 4-12 to 10-6. 2017 Jags 3-13 to 10-6. The Rams 4-12 to 11-5. Every year, I could go down to 2013. This happens. So this notion that this is like some sort of house money, like I don't know, freaking Iowa State's in the Big 12 championship game. I don't agree with that. Would I feel worse about DeMeco Ryans and CJ Stroud in the long term? No, but I just think it would be a missed opportunity for the Texans. I don't look at this as house money. If they lose to the Colts, maybe so. But I'm not looking at it that way. You can look at it how you want. I mean, I'm not gonna frown upon it. I just don't think that's the way I'm approaching it. Especially with the vibes. Dude, they're having Houston Day and Tennessee's coming to town. Like, come on. They've struggled to get people in the stadium. It's probably going to be a full house, and they lose that game right as you're starting to get trust back when your quarterback's back. Come on. Can't have that. And you can't cancel out the win that you had in Tennessee. Remember when we were talking about how improbable the win was and, oh, this was gutsy and, oh, they did it for CJ and they still control their own destiny. You don't want to cancel that out, right? You don't want to cancel that out. If you lose to Indy, you lose to Indy. All right. Shane Steichen has done a hell of a job. Gardner Minshew's done his thing. Indianapolis is a tough ass place to play. They got some really good players on defense. Jonathan Taylor's back. Michael Pittman's there. Assuming that he'll be good to go by then. Like, if you lose to Indianapolis, cool. But don't cancel out your gutsy win and lose to a Titans team that doesn't give a damn about anything right now. Can't have that, man. Can't do that. Let's adjust our expectations just a little bit. I'm not sitting here saying they got to win a playoff game. I'm not even saying they got to win a final game. But let's adjust just a little bit on the go, just a little bit, especially in this league. I mean, you think Indianapolis is sitting there saying, maybe there are, if we lose the next 2 games, then, it's all good. Hell no. They're not saying that. You shouldn't be saying that. Don't function like that, because you're not always going to have these types of opportunities. Sometimes something happens, like Joe Burrow's out for the season. Like Cincinnati, I know the Texans beat them. You don't think Cincinnati has a better record if Joe Burrow plays every game or only misses a couple or doesn't get hurt in the preseason? You're not going to get that all the time. Pittsburgh, they have crappy quarterback situation. You're not always going to get that. So yeah, I'm not there for that. In a year where all the better QBs in the AFC are going down, it'll be a letdown for us to not get a crack at a chip. So I don't know if you're talking division title or what. But yeah, I think eventually this team is building a foundation that can get to that level. But this is going to be an interesting thing. Frank says Raiders are going to slay the Colts. The interesting thing about that, though, is depending on what happens behind the Texans and Colts, the Colts could still actually lose this game and then beat the Texans and get in. It's similar to what happened last year with Tennessee and Jacksonville, where Tennessee was a game up on the or tied with the Jags, I want to say, heading into week 18. And the game didn't matter for them. They actually treated it kind of like a preseason game. Ended up losing. And then Jacksonville ended up beating them and getting in. We're pretty beat up, but I still bet we get in. Depending on who we draw, we might even make it through the first round. Anything like that is gravy. I agree. The other thing about it is this: Tennessee's beat up as the Texans, if not more. I heard their play-by-play guy with Vandermeer. I guess they've had a game this month. Might have been it was before or after the Texans game where their entire D line and their entire secondary was out. They're beat up too. I'm surprised that Derrick Henry's playing right now. Honestly, I mean, props to him, and he's a freak, but and maybe there's like some pride thing, but I'm actually kind of surprised by that. Calvin's bringing up D'Amico's defense. All I know is they need to diversify that defense. If they start passing on you, have some 2 and 3 man fronts. D'Amico's married to his system. I thought the most discouraging thing that D'Amico said the other day, and it was probably the most disappointed that I've been in him at the podium. I'm trying to think. Yeah. When DJ Bieneme of ESPN asked him about, Stingley not following around Amari Cooper, and he said, we don't do that. That's not what we do. Look, I'm not D'Amico Ryans. I don't pretend to be D'Amico Ryans. There's not a coach in the NFL that I would trade D'Amico Ryans for. I believe in D'Amico Ryans. He was my guy from the beginning, and I'm willing to ride and die with D'Amico Ryans through good and bad. But at some point, man, you can't just be so married to what you do to where if Steven Nelson's on one leg, Derek Stingley's playing some of the best ball of any corner in the NFL, and your secondary is depleted, that you're not willing to follow around Amari Cooper. That's asinine. That's asinine. So you're telling me that if Stingley was healthy and Amari Cooper has 150 yards or whatever at halftime and a couple touchdowns, and five of your starting corners are out, you're just going to let Amari Cooper jog over to a practice squad guy or a safety that has to play corner? That's asinine. I don't understand. I don't like hearing that. Now, we'll see. We'll see what happens with D'Amico's defense. I think they gotta improve the talent. They're dependent on a lot of guys who can't stay on the field, but that just seems a little bit crazy to me, to be honest. Chris brings up something interesting. Watch the Panthers beat Jacksonville. It wouldn't shock me. It really wouldn't. We don't know what's going to happen with Trevor Lawrence. He had faked another injury, whatever the hell's going on with him. I mean, he's like a Madden player at this point. This is like an Andrew Luck type of year with Trevor Lawrence, where I'm not saying he's going to retire at 29 or anything like that, but I mean, he comes into the season with a big ass knee brace on. He has that high ankle sprain where he basically walks across the entire damn Galleria Mall into the locker room. Then he has a concussion, and now he has another injury, and we're going to see what happens with that. Carolina was close to beating Green Bay this week. I could easily Carolina's not playing for draft stock. They don't win by losing. Like the Tennessee Titans, they win by losing. They have their draft pick. So, it could be the difference in a couple spots. I don't know where Tennessee sits right now. Let me look at the tankathon with the Titans, the draft order. Right now, Tennessee's they have the 7th pick in the draft. They're 5-10. They're tied with the Chargers, Giants, and then they have the Patriots, Washington, Arizona in front of them. So they're right there in the mix. Like a win could be a difference, between a top 5 pick and a 7. With Carolina, that's not the case because they traded their picks and they're actually playing a lot better. So it wouldn't necessarily surprise me for sure at all. And you got a lot of other wild possibilities. The Colts really doesn't matter as much. Got to keep an eye on the teams behind. Cincinnati, kind of hanging on by a thread. Although Jamar Chase talking crap today. I actually went back and watched his whole media availability because a lot of times there's kind of headline porn. So I always try to go get full context. He sounded off, but he was kind of He was just chilling, and then he kind of went in. Buffalo would be interesting. Buffalo right now sits at 9-6. I don't think anyone wants to face Buffalo. Cleveland has clinched a playoff spot. So you have Baltimore, Miami, and Cleveland all in the playoffs. Kansas City, they're not going to – their division, they're fine. They're not – I don't think they're going to lose out or anything like that. And I don't even know what the tiebreaker is with Las Vegas. So Kansas City's fine, although I would like to see the Texans play the Chiefs, if I'm being honest, for better or worse. Taylor Swift in the stands, no wide receivers, completely focus on Kelsey. Maybe Will Anderson's healthy. That would be my that would be one of my dreams. Now, for Jacksonville to lose the division, they would obviously have to lose a game. Right now, they're actually I think they're a 6-point favorite over Carolina, and they got Tennessee at the end of the season. And who knows? Maybe Tennessee has something against Jacksonville. Maybe they'll try to ruin both the Texans and maybe they're haters. Maybe Mike Vrabel's spreading the hater message. We can ruin both of our division opponents. I could see Mike Vrabel doing some blowhard bit coaching like that. We could ruin both of our division rival seasons, and if let's take away their glory if we can't get our glory. I could see something like that going down, but who knows? Bottom line is Texans control their own destiny. Don't really have to take our eyes off of our own paper at the moment. Enjoy the next few days of Pigskin. Football Friday is going to be crazy. Got Brandon Scott in with me tomorrow. You'll hear from Kareem Jackson. You'll hear about all the action going on around the NFL. We'll react a little bit to this CJ Stroud thing. And no matter what happens when it comes to the Texans, appreciate everyone for coming through. We're all in this together. Subscribe, like, ride along. Fun times. Business picking up. Destiny controlled. CJ back. Injury report comes out tomorrow. Fun times. Football Friday, baby. It's only an hour away.
Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localize every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not too. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days, opinions to give, we got takeaways. If it's up, then it's up. We number one. You don't need to try your luck. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too.